Greetings, YouTube. Airborne 80 here. This is going to be a strange video because, oddly enough, I was going to make this a private video because it's directed to somebody that I'd never met in my life, but I'm going to keep his name out of this, but he is a person who is fairly well known on YouTube, and he's going through some things, and I wanted to give a little bit of a perspective. And I thought to myself, you know what? Anytime we tell stories and things that have happened where we've learned something, it's good to share it with other people because everybody's fighting their own fight. And there may be other people out there, squeaky chair, sorry, that can benefit from my experiences. Now, some of you that have been with me for many years have heard some of these stories, if not all of them before. You may have heard bits and pieces, but I'm going to talk to him. And I invite you folks to listen and share with somebody who may be going through some major depression, a divorce, a death in the family, whatever, that there is gold in every disaster. And the video is meant to give my friend that I don't know something to think about and some hope. And I don't script any of my videos, as you that know me know. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth, but I do know that it's all in me because it's all true experiences. So I'm going to let it flow, and hopefully it makes some kind of sense. And here it is. So most people know that when I got out of the Army in 1983, it was at the end of 1983, I met instantly. Now, I got out with the intention of joining the Los Angeles Police Department, but I met and literally fell in love with the woman who would be my wife for 19 years, 20 years, but the last year was the divorce year. But for 19 years of that marriage and 3 beautiful kids, just unbelievable people who've grown into amazing adults. But for 19 years, I literally would look at her when she's sleeping and think, my God, how did I get this lucky? Or when I walked in there is no man alive that ever loved a wife more than I loved that woman. And fast forward to 2002, I had a horrendous motorcycle accident, and my leg was almost gone. I broke it in 23 different places in the leg and 4 places in the knee. So I didn't walk for about a year, but I've had multiple surgeries. I've got a rod from my knee to my ankle, 10 screws in the knee, in the tibia, 4 in the knee. A lot of problems. It took me forever to just be able to walk with crutches and get in a wheelchair and blah, blah, blah. But it was literally right after this accident, which was huge because, I had a job, and how was I supposed to work? I was an agent with an OIG, and here I am laying in the hospital hoping that I don't have to have my leg amputated. And I very quickly discovered that my marriage was over. At that same week, I realized that the love of my life wasn't who I thought she was. She had morphed into somebody else, and apparently did not love me anymore, and hadn't for about 5 or 10 years. I was living in this fantasy thing. So if you can imagine, and I'm just trying to strike, I'm trying to set a tone for the level of stress, physical pain, which was the most I've ever had, and I've had a lot of pain, and emotional pain. She was basically not only unfaithful, but it turned out that this wasn't the first time, and a lot of shit came to my realization, and I had a decision to make, and I couldn't live with somebody who had no sense of honor. I just couldn't, and I had made that clear many times. Don't ever let me be that guy that thinks I'm having a great marriage only to find out you're being unfaithful, because that's the only thing I'll divorce you for. So I immediately filed for divorce. I'm sitting in a freaking wheelchair doing paperwork with attorneys and all this other shit. So that starts that process. So here I am, a cripple, and my marriage is over. I'm suddenly, imagine all the things and material things that you have in in 19 years of, how many houses have we been through? And now we're in this nice, beautiful house and all my things and things that it's taken me a lifetime to purchase. And now I have nothing but the clothes on my back and a couple of bags of pictures that I managed to get. And, I went out of the house and she changed the locks and now I have nowhere to go. So I'm staying at some friend's room and blah, blah, blah. And, my financial situation was in dire straits for alimony and child support and blah, blah, blah. Um, and I know some people in other countries or other states are like, why are you paying alimony? That's California, New York, and some of these other really leftist states. They don't care why you're divorcing somebody. They just want to know who makes more money and you get screwed. So that was going on. And I would be less than honest if I didn't describe how close, and I'm not going to describe it in detail because honestly, even I don't want to go there. But the fact that I'm alive talking to this iPad is an absolute divine miracle. Nobody's come closer than I, with a note in my pocket and a plan in my head and ready to roll. And something happened that stopped me from doing that. My kids came through the door and I was like, what the hell am I doing? You would really do this to them? That's pretty much how that ended. But nevertheless, I was unable to stay where I was. I mean, in that part of California, we had 19 years of friends, and there's nowhere I could go that we hadn't been. And keep in mind, I was in love with this lady, so that makes it extra hard. It would have been much easier, I'm sure, if I hated her. But long story short, I was a federal agent, and working out of the LA office. I was offered a position by a very kind IG who said, "Hey man, we can bring you out here to DC." So I went out to DC, and by the time all that happened, I was out of the wheelchair on a cane, and I ended up getting a place in Virginia. So I never thought I would leave California. I never had lived I was born and raised in California, and suddenly I find myself in Virginia, working in DC, and it's just a whole different vibe, different people, different everything, man. I was like a refugee, like a foreigner. That's how I felt. And I was alone for the first time, where I had a house full of people and teenagers and playing music and guitars. The kids are musicians. And all of the excitement and activity. Now I'm in this little condominium across the street from the Pentagon, wondering what the hell's going on. How did I get here? And walking with a cane and a limp. And I was in my 40s thinking, what the hell's going to happen? I'll never get married again. I'll never find happiness again. I'll never find love again. I'll never trust another woman again. And it just was about as low as a person could get. I owed money to the IRS. I owed money to this person and that person. And I just couldn't get out of the pit of hell that I was in. I couldn't acclimate to where I was at. My kids, weren't happy that I had went to the East Coast. They didn't realize I was doing that to stay alive, and I was flying back and forth to see them, but there was some bitterness for lots of reasons. The fact that I left them was but they weren't little kids either. The boys were 17, my daughter was 15. 14. She was 14, they were 17. So, I tried my best to explain it, but it was what it was. And so here I was with no idea. All of the things that meant everything to me were gone. I think I heard through the grapevine that my ex-wife had a yard sale in one day and sold everything. All the things, the tools, everything that took me a lifetime to collect, just let it go, $1 here, $5 there. So that's how that was. And again, my heart was broken. It just was. The symptoms of that, and this is for you, brother, were a mental fatigue that is indescribable. This wanting to stay in bed, not having the strength to get out of bed, just being tired, too tired to even inhale, too much work to keep breathing. Wanting to be a good father for my kids, not wanting to be weak, wanting to be able to show them that you could persevere no matter what, and we can still be a family, and blah, blah, blah. but just not having that will, you know. And it came, and you know, as you were saying, the stages that you described were 100% accurate. The anger and the rage was from a molecular level out. It was who I was. I was angry. Nobody's been as angry as me. And honestly, that's why I left California, because I didn't trust myself. That's how angry I was. I didn't trust myself to be over there. So I came out here, and with no hope, thinking, here I am, a crippled, limping 40 something, mid 40-year-old dude, broken, no money. What the fuck do I have to offer? Why am I even getting out of bed? What's the point? It was hard. It felt like a hot towel was wrapped around my face, wet. So I couldn't breathe. It was too much work. I made mistakes. I did not know how to not be in love. I didn't know, because I got married at 21. So I would meet a woman, and if there was any intimacy at all, I fell in love with them. I thought I was in love with that woman. I didn't understand how to date and how to have a one-night stand, because it wasn't who I was. And I made mistakes, you know, and I met a young lady, or a lady similar, close to my age. She was a little younger. And in a very short time, I bought a very expensive engagement ring and was going to marry her. I didn't know how to not be married. And then when I was doing something in New Orleans, I met another lady, a Chinese lady who's a former model from Beijing, and just this unbelievable woman. And I had feelings, and so I ended up breaking up with the other one. And I told her, I said, look, if I could have feelings for this one, then we shouldn't be getting married. And I heard her, and now I'm with this one, and I'm making every mistake that a dude could make. And then I ended up having to push that one away. She was just too young. She was like 32 years old. And it was good for the ego, because she was just stunning, but she was too young, too young up here. Older guys and younger women, I don't think it's a good mix. But I learned a lot through those. And I ended up meeting a woman who was a year younger than me. And I've been married to her for 19 years now. And I cannot tell you how happy we are and how happy I am. Yeah, it took me many, many, many years to unlove the other one, to the point where there's just absolute, apathy out of, but it was so freeing. It felt so good to not have that connection anymore. Like, it was amazing, because for 6-7 years, man, I'd wake up and go to bed, and that person's name would pop in my head, and I'd just shake my head like, wow, how did that happen? Why did that happen? And when that didn't happen, I remember when I went the first week without even thinking of her, I was like, wow, how free. So what's my point? My point is, and you know who you are that I'm talking to, you are going through something where you're probably thinking, man, I'd love to have his problems, because I know your details, what you're going through. You shared them. I want you to look at this as an example. You need to come up with your own analogy. This is what I use, because I'm kind of like a military dude. That's my interest. I always, during those dark days, and there were some days that were so dark I can't share them in terms of what was happening in my mind, I had to develop tactical thinking to keep me alive and keep me moving. Now, I know you're not at that point, but these are useful things. And to anyone else listening who is going through something similar, we all saw the movie Saving Private Ryan. And if we didn't, we should all know about the Normandy invasion of World War II. I'm a very visual person. I have to see things in my head in order for things to make sense and so it's easier for me. And in my mind, I'm on a landing craft approaching, you know, Omaha Beach in Normandy. The moment I found out that the love of my life was not faithful and that I was going to divorce her is when the ramp dropped. Now the bullets are coming and the bombs are going off, and am in I'm in danger of losing everything. I'm just trying to stay alive, man, but I got 300 yards of beach I got to get through. And it's just a murder fest of lawyers and bills and taxes and losing houses, losing cars, losing this, job, can't work, hospital, therapy, this, that, the other thing, you know. So in my mind, I was moving across the beach away from that landing craft. And every day I got a little further up the beach, maybe just a couple of feet, but I did make some advances. I made sure that I advanced. And I was still having rounds hit and people getting killed all around me. And the bullets were whizzing. But I'd make a phone call and I'd put off that creditor and these credit cards that she maxed out in my name, and they're suing me, and I got to go to court over here and fight Capital One credit people because I owe them $40,000 I didn't know. And we're going to do this, and we're going to garnish your wages. And then she did garnish my wages, and then she's going to take a restraining order so that I can't carry a weapon, because that's a good way to fuck me, because I need to carry a weapon because I'm an agent. All of that, and I'm just moving up the beach. Keep moving, Mike. Keep breathing. Keep moving, Mike. Keep breathing. You're closer. Don't look up there. It's too far away, man. Just keep moving. One day, I was off the beach. And that was the day that I realized I'm happy. I'm enjoying life. I look back and I survived. I survived that beach. You're on that beach right now, my friend. Or whatever analogy you need to use in your head. You're on the beach. I'm telling you because I've been on that beach. Your mission for Michael and for your wife and for everyone that cares about you, and there's a lot of people that care about you, is to keep breathing and keep moving. Now, you may have to take a little breather. Some famous poet somewhere, and I don't remember now, talked about the boxer who gets knocked down and has to lay there and bleed for a little while before he gets back up and starts fighting. You may have to take a breather, a day or two, a week. Don't get used to it though, because if you stay on the beach, that's where you die. I don't know how your story is going to end, but I do know this. You keep moving. And when I say moving, I don't mean physically moving. I'm talking about spiritually moving, mentally moving, advancing, killing one little problem at a time, not thinking too far ahead. Well, if I do this, what about that? And if they won't do this, then what? I can't do that. You just got to look at the next foot in front of you and get there. And that may be dealing with this entity or this one, and you know what I'm talking about in terms of making your thing happen. But you just got to keep moving, man. And when you get to the other end, and you will get to the other end, you are going to be so much better off spiritually, mentally, everything is going to taste better, feel better, and you're going to find out you're already a great dude. I already know that. I'm a great judge of character. But you're going to find out that you're a green beret of getting through shit. And nobody's going to deny that you are in a shitstorm right now. Anybody that knows you knows that. I can't wait to see you on the other end of this beach. Never, ever stop your faith in God. Never stop your belief in Jesus. Never stop your prayers. We don't have to understand, and we shouldn't expect to arrogantly understand why God allows this to happen to us or that to happen to him. We just have to have faith that the creator of the universe knows what the hell he's doing. And we just have to, our job is to not understand him, it's to have faith in him. And I know you have that faith. And when it comes to your children, what a fucking hero you're going to be, dude. What a hero you are. You know? Yeah, there's people worse off. There's somebody right now in a much worse, any scenario, there's some fisherman somewhere off the coast of whatever whose engine died and he's been out there drifting for 3 or 4 days and he'll be dead before the sun rises tomorrow. And he's sunburned, hungry, and dying of thirst. It's happening right now. So there's always people worse, and I'm not saying that, that should make you feel better, but it should put you into a little bit of a perspective that you have people that love you, you're not alone, and you're a very smart person, by the way. Nothing good, I'll end it with this. When a woman is pregnant, her body gets distorted and stretched out, and she's throwing up and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure it's not a lot of fun. And having a child is certainly not a lot of fun physically. But at the end of that process, with the pain and the tears and the screaming and the blood, is something beautiful. And there is nothing that is worth anything that doesn't come from a beginning of pain and chaos. If it's worth something, it's got to be difficult. And try not to feel the guilt that I've heard you talk about maybe I'm paying a penance or maybe this is, whatever. Don't even get caught up in that. You just keep being who you are. You keep having faith, keep moving, and I'll see you at the other end of the beach. Take care, brother.